Nothing funny, no hyperbole, totally honest. There were 2 wrestling pay-per-views today from 2 different companies. The one we're about to cover here at the Mark It Down podcast, AEW All Out, was the better of the 2. If you don't agree, let's talk about it. If you did agree, let's celebrate it. See you in a second.
Uh-oh.
Yes, boy!
French toast is the exchange student that you have like a 3-week affair with.
Fake. We can see that you don't have pants on.
Somebody hit somebody with a pie. Do something.
Giovanni yelling we're out of time as we go off the air.
Giovanni yelling a lot of things tonight.
And welcome to the Mark It Down podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Mark It Down podcast. I am James Giasanti. This was the better show. It just was. Let me actually check that you guys could hear me. Just because I'm talking about professional stuff doesn't mean that I'm a professional. There you go. Yeah, this was the better show. It's crazy, but it's just true. I went into this very open-minded, very wanting to enjoy both shows, and we're going to get into it. I promise you, after this review, once the other show is over, I'm going to cover WrestlePalooza as well, but we're here for AEW All Out. I enjoyed the show a lot, guys. I thought this was a strong show. Maybe not an all-timer, maybe not one of the most memorable, maybe not one of the best they've ever put on, but absolutely a strong show. Thoroughly enjoyed it from beginning to end. And what was very interesting to me was this was a show very clearly designed to have talking points. This was a show very clearly designed to have memorable moments. And we had them. AEW peppered them through from the first match to the last match. We're going to get into it. We'll talk about everything. Normally we go with like whatever the big thing of the night was, but there were lots of them. I'm not really sure where to go. I'm not really sure how to start. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just go from the beginning of the show. My producer boy, if he were here, would hate that, but he's not here. Do want to go to the comments real quick. What up, Maria? Hope you're having a good one. I'm happy to see that you enjoyed All Out. I'm happy to see that you enjoyed the show quite a bit. I am going to agree with you. I thought this was amazing, and let's get into it. Very first match of the night saw the sequel, the return for Cope and Christian. They had their first tag team match at the last show, at the last pay-per-view, where they took on the Patriarchy. Here, they're getting now Cope's revenge against FTR. Now, they started the show with a little bit of Canada loving as Cope and Christian were walking the halls of the arena. As they were walking the halls of the building, what's up, Dan? Hope you're doing well, buddy. He was at the Met game today, so he couldn't watch the show. I'm assuming he's going to watch it at some point, and we'll hear his thoughts eventually. But unfortunately for you guys, it's just me today. But Cope and Christian walk in the halls in Toronto, where they're greeted with a famous hockey player that, if I was a hockey fan, would mean, oh, that is actually a really good question. Not that, Nick. If you want, message him to join. That'd be fantastic. I kind of forgot that he volunteered. Running into a famous hockey player that they were both huge fans of, but Christian himself could not have been bothered. They then run into Bubbles from Trailer Park Boys, which was very unexpected, very silly, very funny. And once again, Christian could not have been bothered, despite Bubbles offering his help in the match. Christian then went after, making comments about both of his parents the way he would. But regardless, as we get into this match, this was a fun one, guys. Fun is going to be a word throughout the night, so I apologize. Love you, Dan. Thank you. these two guys are teaming up together like a glove. Like, it fits again. Everything fits the way it used to. They're on the same page. Everything flows well. This is what happens when you have two best friends getting in the ring together once again. What up? You know it. I am so sorry that I don't seem to be enough for anybody, but he was at the Met game earlier today and he couldn't really watch the show. So he's sitting out this review, but I'm sure everyone will be really happy to see how much demand there was for them. Tyler, what up, Tyler? Saying All Out was awesome. Why am I feeling like AEW pay-per-views are now cooking? My issues with the weekly show need help or something. Look, AEW has historically been a pay-per-view company. They build their shows for the pay-per-views. Now, that's not to say that they don't put effort into their weekly TV, but they care way more about you coming out of a pay-per-view satisfied. So is that to say that there isn't some work to be done on their weekly television formatting? Sure, there is, but I think for the most part they have corrected. I think their biggest issue has always been going from the 4 pay-per-views a year that they started with to now we're getting pretty much a pay-per-view a month. And I don't think they ever really found the flow to make TV work with that. Again, there are some strong television episodes and we've gotten them leading up to this pay-per-view, I'd say, but very different breed. Tony goes all out on these shows. So that's why there's always a very obvious difference between television and pay-per-view for AEW, as opposed to other places that sometimes their pay-per-views feel like glorified weekly television. But we won't get into that right now. But yeah, this match had so much going for it. Obviously, I'm not saying it. That'll be later. Come back, check it out. This was way more fun than the Patriarchy match. And that's not a knock on Sabian and Killswitch Osaurus, but it's just when you have a team like FTR who are two of the best to ever put on a pair of boots and be part of a tag team. This is a pretty face, not a well-thought face. Tony goes all out on his shows without a hint of a pun intended. I'm just that guy. Tyler also saying he's going to be honest. The point is AEW has better pay-per-view than WWE. Mark my words. Look, I could say as we're doing this, I'm watching the WWE pay-per-view. I'm watching WrestlePalooza as we speak. 3 matches in. Yes. Period. It's how I started the show. Maria also saying FTR are top 5 best team ever. You know, whether you love them or you hate them, you gotta respect them. And that is a lot of respect from Maria in that comment right there. But this match just had so much going for it. The back and forth was great. There were some really great spots. I would love to add that Adam Copeland did a better job of honoring John Cena than WWE has. With Cope doing the 5 moves of doom, hitting the AA, getting a 2 count, but still great way to honor his long time rival, John Cena, especially after Cena paid homage to him with his big spear moment in his match with Sammy. So really beautiful moment there. It was cool seeing Cope and Christian hitting double sharpshooters. Of course, we're in Canada. You know how it goes. What up, Fernando? How you? So happy to see the chat popping tonight. Thank you, guys. Really hope you enjoyed the show tonight. Daniel saying, we've arrived in a world where I feel bad for Cena and his fans. Hi, that's me. It's me. But we'll talk about it later. Fernando saying, All Out was fire tonight. It was, and we're doing our best to get through it. So welcome to the ride. And Danny saying he hopes he's happy Cope hasn't ruined Christian. Completely agree. There was one moment, I didn't really get into it, when they were doing their walk through the tunnel and they were talking with Bubbles and that green bastard and everybody, where that green bastard calls him an asshole. Christian, and Cope says, yeah, but he's my asshole. And the crowd is out there chanting, that's our asshole. Beautiful. Just beautiful. He is exactly who he should be. And Dan saying that Christian is making Cope cooler. Fascinating. Fernando agreeing with me, this match was way better than Forbidden Door. And again, it's not a knock on Kill Switchosaurus or Kip Sabian. It's just this is FTR. It would be bad. It would be a disappointment if this match wasn't better. At one point, Cope and Christian about to get the win when that dastardly Stokely Hathaway pulls the referee out. And I'm really glad Brian called this out. He says, as much as I don't want to see it, that should have been that should be a DQ when the ref comes around. Whatever. As Stokely is reveling in what he had done, we hear music, unfamiliar music, but a very familiar face. Beth Copeland, otherwise known as Beth Phoenix, making her debut in AEW, making the save, getting rid of Stokely, and evening the odds. And what I loved about this, beyond the fact that I love that Beth is there now, because I cannot wait for some of the matches that are going to come out of this. What I loved about this was it didn't directly lead to the finish. There was a little bit of a break in between. Action definitely kept going past that. And I think it made it better because don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. As cool as it was to see Beth there, you don't want a match like this to not have a real finish. You don't want a match like this between two epic teams to have a fucky finish. And they avoided that here. I'm very happy to report. So great stuff there. But as the match continued, I'm so sorry, guys. I'm still battling this little bit of sickness. FTR hits a shatter machine onto Cope, who kicks out. He then goes for a second shatter machine. They go for a second shatter machine, which does hit, but Christian is able to buy him some time. Cope gets up and hits a massive spear, gets the 1, 2, 3 onto, I believe it was Dax. As the two are celebrating with Beth, I'll get you guys in the comments in a second. Nick Wayne, his music hits. He is wheeled out by his mom, Mother Wayne. As Cope, Christian, and Beth are distracted in their celebration, FTR and Kip Sabian attack. Cope is handcuffed to the ropes. Christian is hit with a spike pile driver from FTR. Beth, who is trying to get Cope out of the handcuffs, realizes danger is coming. Cope begs her to leave the ring. She gives him a kiss, and this was so fucking cool. She immediately goes after FTR and starts attacking them. They unfortunately get the upper hand and hit the spike pile driver onto her. And I thought this was a great way of doing this because Cope and Christian got the win, but the feud isn't over. FTR still got over in the end. Granted, I don't know if that means because they got over, if there is a rematch, Cope and Christian win that one, but we'll get there when we get there. This was great. Seeing Beth immediately bring it to the guys, amazing. Something that was unfortunately sorely lacking in her WWE stint when she was teaming with Cope. Here, we're not going to run from it. Here, we're going to embrace it a little bit. I know Tony tends to balk at men versus women, but I think when you have someone like Beth, you can get away with it and the crowd is going to love it. So again, time will tell on that, but I'm very interested to see where this goes. Going to the comments real quick. Dan saying, give me Beth versus Stat ASAP. See, yes, but that is a match that needs the proper build. And I don't think we're running away from Beth anytime soon. Like, I don't know what her status is. I don't know if this was one-off. I don't know if we're she's under contract and she's all elite now. But that is a match I would love to see and handled properly. Dan also saying no time like the present. I'm not opposed, but I would love some build. Maria suggesting Beth versus Megan Bain and Beth versus Marina. Marina was one of the first I thought. Megan, that match is gonna feed families. It's gonna feed families. Dan agreeing Beth versus Bane, saying Beth versus Hater, and even saying Beth versus Harley Cameron. That's a team. I'm just saying. I mean, granted, you could say that about Harley Cameron and anyone, but that's a team. Love to see it. Maria saying Beth versus Willow. Yeah, guys, honestly, the possibilities are endless here. You know it, agreeing that would be a fun match. Maria also saying blood and guts. So, I mean, maybe we haven't had an intergender blood and guts yet. So that could be really cool. And Maria saying FTR made it personal. Absolutely. Tyler saying Tony Khan needs to give us blood and guts for women, please. It's coming. It's very clearly coming. We just need to let it get there. But we're closer than we've ever been before. So let it be known. As we go to our second match, this was a match that, quite frankly, was baffling. Wasn't expecting this to be how we got Eddie Kingston back. But Eddie Kingston versus Big Bill. The match itself, guys, it was fine. I don't want to rip on it, especially because I know that finish was a little botchy, unfortunately. But it was just great to see Eddie back. The crowd ate him up to the point that it didn't matter who he was wrestling. And we all kind of knew that. So I thought the whole premise of why does this New York guy dislike this other New York guy on a Canadian pay-per-view, I thought that felt a little silly. But again, didn't matter. It was about getting Eddie back. And Eddie looks great. Eddie looks like Eddie. I know one certain producer boy was balking at the fact that he hasn't lost much weight. I don't need Eddie Kingston to look like a body guy. That's Eddie Kingston. He's real the way he is, and he's perfect the way he is. So the finish of the match coming with Eddie chopping down Big Bill to knees and then hitting a huge spinning back fist. That hitting is subjective, but he got it. 1, 2, 3. That's the finish. As Eddie is celebrating, he gets beaten down, attacked by the bad apple, Bandit Keith, and Big Bill joining in on the beatdown. And then that leads to a shocking save. A surprise that I don't think a lot of people were expecting, but out comes Hook. Hook coming out, getting rid of Big Bill, choking out Keith, and then helping Eddie to his feet. So sorry, guys, just dealing with a little bit of social media. And, you know, Hook talked about it. Hook spoke about it in his vignette a few weeks back, that he doesn't have any beef with the Ops. He's made peace with no longer being with the Ops. And maybe it's time for him to stand on his own. Or as he says, maybe not. So I know a lot of us, myself included, were upset about this split between the Ops and Hook, that it didn't really make sense, that we thought he was gaining so much from being with them. And quite frankly, if you're going to pivot to having him be with someone else, Eddie Kingston makes sense. Eddie Kingston is that guy. So good pivot. If you're going to do it, this was the way to do it. Going to the comments real quick. You know it, saying Beth versus Danny. Sure. Oh, sure. Maria saying this match was very mid. It was, but for me, and again, I said this at the beginning of the pod, this show was way more about moments than wrestling. Don't get me wrong. There was some fantastic wrestling on this show tonight, but that's not really what the show is about. They wanted talking points, and we had them. First match, it's Beth Phoenix's debut. This match, it's Eddie Kingston's return and being partnered with Hook. These are the things that AEW were banking on people caring about. And for me, they got me. So I think it's worked. A great comment from Fernando here. Gabe Kidd is next on the list. Look, I think we're all waiting for Eddie versus Moxley at some point. Gabe Kidd, who is more or less a member of the Death Riders at this point, He's on there. So good call out there, Fernando. Maria saying, I think it's a setup. Hook going to betray Eddie Kingston. You know what? Maybe, because Hook desperately needs some character shakeups. And quite frankly, there was a part of me that really did think he was going to join the Death Riders at some point. So maybe that's where that goes. Let's let it breathe. Let's let it play out a little bit before we book the betrayal. But I don't disagree with you there. Guys, again, I'm so sorry that you have to put up with the coughing. I'm so sorry you got to put up with the hacking, but I'm doing my best for you. Moving on, we're going to our first really gimmicky match of the night, as we had a TNT match, a tables and thumbtacks match between MJF and Mark Briscoe. Now, there are going to be a subset of the... Bless you, honey. There's going to be a subset of the audience that cannot stand matches like this. Then there's going to be a subset of the audience that loves it. And then there's just going to be some people who are happy to be watching whatever. I've never seen this many thumbtacks in a match. Commentary said the same thing. Bryan Danielson said, I've watched a lot of wrestling and I've never seen it. This was a lot. This was a very gimmicky match. Very bloody, obviously. MJF doing everything he could in the beginning to avoid the thumbtacks. Obviously, again. Eventually, both men pricked, bloodied, not happy. I'm fine with matches like these as long as they're not the norm. I'm fine with matches like these that as long as it's not what these guys are known for. And look, we know Mark Briscoe likes to have hardcore matches, but we know he's capable of more. MJF, this is not his typical match type. So seeing him in something like this is always fun because he feels like a fish out of water a little bit. Good back and forth where honestly, I was really worried for a second that MJF was going to win. But thankfully, everything prevailed the way it should have. Everything proceeded the way it should have. Mark Briscoe hitting two massive froggy bows onto MJF. Quite frankly, nuts that he did it. Nuts that he's just jumping onto thumbtacks, but he did it. Eventually getting the finish with a huge J Driller onto the thumbtacks. 1, 2, 3. Mark Briscoe wins. Mark getting quite possibly, and commentary spoke about this. Looking at your comment there, you know it. Mark Briscoe getting the biggest win possibly of his singles career in AEW. Now, yes, the man has won the Ring of Honor World Championship, defended it for quite a while, but no knocking Ring of Honor, but it's a very different atmosphere. Very different atmosphere. So I'm just very happy Mark Briscoe finally gets a big win on pay-per-view. Going to the comments real quick. Maria disagreeing with a different decision from later on in the night. We'll get to that. I'll come back to that comment in a little bit. You know it saying, what's my problem with Norm? I'm sure he's a fine fella. Maria saying, sorry, MJF should have won. Okay. So I'm just going to disregard the last comment then. Look, Maria, truth be told, I understand, but the reality is MJF didn't need the win. Mark needed a win. Mark needed a huge win, and he hasn't had one. We've talked about this on the pod at length. Mark is one of those guys who's always going to be over no matter how much he loses because of how likable he is, what his legacy is, but he needed a big, big win. And MJF is a guy who can lose 100 times, but then still, because of the nature of being a heel, recover. And MJF doesn't lose 100 times. MJF loses very infrequently. So in the end, no loss here for him in the long run. And just getting married, he's probably going to take some time off. Sorry, guys. So I think this benefited everyone. MJF gets to take some time off, be with his new blushing bride. Mark gets a big, big win, finally. And nobody's hurt by it, and everyone, I think, succeeds a little bit. I love Cheers. I love Frasier. I did not love the Frasier reboot, but that's where we'll end up on that one. So yeah, fun matchup between these guys, and happy, personally, very happy at the outcome. Moving on to a backstage segment, which I loved, by the way, that we had. AEW pay-per-views don't typically get these. It's usually match after match after match, maybe an interview to set up a match or to talk about the finish of another match. But no, this was just a backstage segment. Really liked it. The Acclaimed, or the not Acclaimed, because they are not on the same page yet. They are not a team yet. Again, bickering backstage with Jerry Lynn trying to play peacekeeper. And he informs them that they will have a match next week. So we're getting an Acclaimed reunion, whether it's for one night or however long it may be. We are going to see Max Caster and Anthony Bowens teaming up once again. We then go to a trios match, as we have the Hurt Syndicate taking on the Demand being Ricochet and GOA. Fun matchup. I kind of thought this was how this was going to go, and just because it's predictable doesn't mean it's bad. We saw, by the way, the Demand being a name for them, I like it. Really makes sense for them. Very egotistical of them, so I thought that was cool. We saw MVP wrestle a little bit more here than normal. Or I don't want to say normal, but a little more than expected. I think it was fair to say that we were all expecting MVP to probably take the pin if the Hurt Syndicate were going to lose, but maybe just for that bit. But no, he wrestled a good amount of this matchup. There was a lot of meat being thrown around in this match between Bobby and Toa Leona and Bishop Khan. Shelton too. Really fun back and forth. Destruction on the outside of the ring. Ultimately, the finish coming with GOA keeping MVP occupied, allowing Ricochet to hit the Spirit Gun, getting the 1, 2, 3. And I think the right trio won here. Obviously, I love the Hurt Syndicate. Obviously, I was rooting for the Hurt Syndicate, and I thought that was the team. And I think that's a team that is obviously going to always be over. So because of that, you needed a team you needed the Demand to get the win so they could establish themselves too. I know I'm probably the only one who really cares still at this point, but I love the trios division. I love the concept of the trios division and the trio titles, and good outcome. WWE match. So I want to see that division cultivated. Having the Demand win creates another legitimate trio. So now you have the Ops, you have the Hurt Syndicate, you have the Demand, you have the Death Riders. There's a lot to work with. We're getting to a point where there's a lot to work with. So really happy to see that. And maybe if there is a rematch, they bring in a more official member or a more active member to be the third for the Hurt Syndicate. We'll see. Don't know. Looking forward to it. Good matchup. Good way to get us going into our first women's matchup of the night. Well, on the main card. Sorry, guys. I didn't really talk about the pre-show. I didn't mean to ignore it. It's a long day of wrestling between AEW and WWE. I wasn't really checking out the pre-show. But I know the results of them. It's just not something we're really going to cover. But our first women's match on the main card is the AEW TBS champion. Oh, do have some comments. Let's check those out real quick. Yep, Fernando, absolutely. We knew MVP was taking the pin, and it's the right move. Protect Bobby, protect Shelton, who are your active performers. MVP still looked good in the matchup, but he's not a really active performer. That's the way to do it. It's saying, just skipped over. Yeah, absolutely. Fernando saying the Gates of Agony, GOA, should be the ones to take the tag championships from Brodito. Look, the tag division is heating up right now. We have Cope Christian. We have every team that was in the Fatal 4-Way ladder match. We have FTR. We have guys like the Hurt Syndicate that could go right back to it. We had a returning tag team that we're going to get into in a little bit that I was super happy to see. So many good options in the tag division. So many good. Hell, you could do Eddie Kingston and Hook. So lots of good options in that department. So not a bad choice for GOA, but let's see. Fernando saying that's okay. Most people don't care about the pre-show. Look, it's not a knock. There was some great talent on there. Megan Bain, Harley Cameron, Willow Nightingale, the Paragon, the Ops, Samoa Joe. Great talent on the pre-show. Just it's a lot. It's just a lot. It's saying pre-show used to be on YouTube. Not sure if it still is anymore. I believe it is. I believe it's one of the places you could watch it. I don't think it's the only place you could watch it. But yeah, I think YouTube you still can. But yeah, this AEW TBS championship match between Mercedes Moné and Riho. Look, I love Riho. I really was trying to delude myself into thinking she was going to be the one to beat Mercedes. I mean, after all, and AEW really emphasized this. She is the first ever AEW women's world champion. Back in day 1, day 2 of AEW, not day 1 because they didn't have the women's title yet, but this was a fun matchup. If Rev were here, he would say it, so I'll say it for him. We know it. It's true. Mercedes Moné versus Joshi's just slaps. Those are just always excellent matchups. Those are always, they bring something out of Mercedes, and I'd say that was no different here. These women brought it to one another, both of them being so quick, and emphasis also on being so small. Commentary played this up too. Both of these women being so small really played a factor into the matchup. And I love that. I love that they didn't feel small. They wrestled big, strong matchups, but it added to the speed of the match. Maria, I was waiting for you to come back for her. I'm glad it seems like you enjoyed the outcome at the very least, if not the match itself. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed this matchup. Rio can always go. We know that. And Mercedes, Joshi or not, can always go as well. Lots of back and forth, quick action, quick pins, really throwing each other at their opponent. Sorry, guys. Finish coming. Mercedes hitting the Monet Maker. 1, 2, 3, pinning Riho and celebrating. Do want to comment on her entrance, as she had, I believe it was 8 men, very, 8 shirtless men wearing her championships coming down the entrance ramp. I thought that was very Mercedes. I thought that was hilarious. Each and every one of those men, each and every one of those guys looked dead on the inside. They looked miserable. And I don't know if that was the direction. I don't know if that was just they didn't want to do it. Quite frankly, always be happy about TV time, kid. But hilarious bit. Mercedes just keeps upping it up with these entrances, with all of these belts. So really fun spot. And yeah, I don't know who's going to take this title off Mercedes. Not a clue. But she's proving herself very dominant, very cool to see. And in a very strong division, she continues to show why she is near the top of it. So well done from Mercedes, and a great matchup from Rio. Good challenger there. Moving on to our next, really stipulation-y match of the night. Coffin match between Darby Allin and Jon Moxley. Now, commentary pointed out this was Darby Allin's 6th coffin match, while this was Jon Moxley's first ever. This was Darby's 6th coffin match in AEW. This was Jon Moxley's first coffin match of his career. Bloody, guys. Shockingly bloody. Again, I spoke about it a little bit before in the TNT match with MJF and Mark Briscoe. Some people are going to be turned off. Some people are going to froth at the mouth for more. And some people are just trying to get through the pay-per-view. I enjoyed it. I expect it from Darby. I expect it from Moxley. These guys using the coffin to their advantage, using the ring itself to their advantage. At one point, Darby takes the ring post, takes off the turnbuckle, takes the metal holder, and just starts stabbing Mox in the head with it. Bloody matchup. Match starts with Mox doing his normal entrance, being coming out with Danny Garcia and Marina Shafir. But as he's going through the crowd, Darby attacks him. They are fighting through the crowd. They get to the ring eventually, and that's just where all the chaos ensues. Eventually, Mox is trying to bring the coffin into the ring, and the Death Riders come out. They help him. And of course, they take out Darby a little bit too. But interestingly, Mox sends the Death Riders to the back once they help him put the coffin in the ring. I thought that was a very interesting touch. He talks about how he wants to show, like he tells Darby, I love you. I wouldn't do that for anybody else. I love you. He kisses him on the head. Both men just continuing to go at it, bloodying each other up. Darby eventually getting the upper hand, hitting a huge coffin drop onto Mox, who was on the coffin, denting the coffin. It was gnarly. We then they're fighting, they keep it going. There is another coffin on the outside near the announce table. As it seems, Darby is going to get the win. Out comes a returning haircut Pac. Let me just say, Pac with that short hair, that's a cursed image if I've ever seen it. Horrendous. Hate it. I know we're not supposed to judge people on their appearance. I know we're supposed to judge them on their character and on their inside. Pac, you might be a lovely human being outside of the ring, outside of your gimmick. Your character, piece of shit. A bastard, if you will, as the crowd lovingly said, that's our bastard, and chanted that at him. Pac attacking Darby, hitting a huge power bomb from the ring to the outside on top of the coffin. Darby, I don't know if you guys saw it. He had a gash in his shoulder, not a cut. He had a gash in his shoulder after that power bomb. It looked rough. Pac then brings Darby into the ring. Oh, I did forget, and I'm so sorry. I forgot a huge moment of the match. Darby, who had made Bryan Danielson promise on Wednesday not to get involved in the matchup under any circumstances. Darby goes to Bryan and has Bryan pass him something. It's a bag, and once he opens the bag, there is a clear plastic bag, just like the type Mox used to suffocate Bryan when he was retiring Bryan around a year ago at this point. Darby had used that on Mox, and that's where it looked like Darby was officially going to get the win, and that's when Pac got involved. So Pac continues the assault onto Darby, puts him in a body bag, lifts him up, puts him in the casket, in the coffin, and that is it. Moxley gets the win. It's at this point, Mox has the rest of the Death Riders come out. The Death Riders, fully formed now at this point, take the casket out of the ring, out of the building, through the crowd. Mox saying that he didn't want this. This isn't what he wanted. He didn't ask for this. This is Darby's fault. I'm going to jump ahead a little bit later. There was a segment later on where Mox and the Death Riders still have Darby in the casket, in the body bag. Mox sends the Death Riders away in their pickup truck. He tells them to leave. He goes to the casket, to the coffin, to talk to Darby, who gets out. He had a steel pipe in the coffin with him. That was part of the matchup. He uses the pipe to down Mox. He then puts Mox in the body bag and then lights the body bag on fire before it is quickly extinguished by AEW personnel. Darby is dragged away by security and AEW personnel, telling that motherfucker to burn. Wow. So to Maria's point, saying Darby should have won. This is what I'm going to say to this. I want Darby to win. I'm not mad that he lost here. And the reason I say that is, one, we've seen Mox take some losses now in succession, having lost the title, having lost the rematch, and having lost some tag matches, I believe, in between too. Mox getting a win is good because it starts to make him a legitimate threat again. Bigger than that, though, I want Darby's first win over Mox to be pin. I want him to beat Mox. I don't want him to get a win via closing a casket door, a coffin lid. I want him to pin and show he is better than Jon Moxley. So could they have done that here? Could they have had him win this and then win another match too? Sure, but this just keeps the feud going in a way that makes sense. So I get it, Maria. Maria saying Moxley is bulletproof. Everybody is until they aren't. And I'm not mad at this. Dragoon of the West saying he no longer gives a single shit about Pac. Look, not trying to again attack a man for how he looks, but goddamn, there has to be a better way. They're just, it don't look great. It don't look great with that hair. But for real though, getting past the look, being funny. To Fernando's point, let us pray Pac can stay healthy this time. And I'm assuming that's what Dragoon was talking about too, that it's hard to be invested in Pac. Look, he's an incredible talent. At one point, very, 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 very early on in AEW's history, it seemed like he could theoretically, feasibly become AEW world champion. I think those days are long past us. I don't think there's any world where Pac becomes the AEW world champion, but he still has a lot to offer. He's an incredible talent who puts on great matches. And if he serves a role, he serves a role. So now we have this fully formed Death Riders of Jon Moxley, Marina Shafir, Claudio Castagnoli, Wheeler Yuta, a returning Pac. You have now the newly joined Danny Garcia and the occasional Gabe Kidd. This is a dangerous crew. They were dangerous when it was just a few of them. Now they've got numbers too, real numbers. So I don't know what this is building to. I don't know, but it's a very interesting grouping. It's a very intriguing setup for what could come for them. Dragoon saying that Pac juices, comes back, does a cool spot, either is injured or just leaves. Look, I get it, but he's not the focus of this group. He's a part of it. So I'd rather him be doing something than doing nothing. And if he's doing something that serves the group, I'm cool with it. Like I said, the trios division, for example, he never lost the title. He got hurt. Mox took his spot. There's an argument for the Death Riders to get another shot at the Ops. Whether win or lose, that'll be a fun matchup that we didn't get the first time. So let's see. Have faith. But yeah, Darby definitely going to be getting his revenge. It's why I don't particularly mind that he didn't get here, but it's coming. It's coming, as will an eventual AEW World Championship, I'm sure. Dragoon saying they're doing all of this with a Death Rider so Goldberg can debut and squash them all. Somebody wasn't happy with the WWE pay-per-view. That's what I think. And I got to tell you, AEW is a safe space, buddy. Don't worry about it. AEW is a safe space. Give me 1 second, guys. I just got to fix something really quickly. There you go. Don't you just love when you got to be your own producer, boy? But yeah, moving on from this chaos, this bloody chaos. Hold on, what's this? It's saying Juice, respect a man who spits out his gum and sucks it back off the floor. Ew. Oh. You know it. Oh, God. We all got to be better than that. Anyway, moving on. AEW Women's Championship 4-way match as Timeless Toni Storm defended her championship against Jamie Hayter, Chris Statlander, and Tekla. Now, guys, this match fucked. This match slapped. It was awesome. All 4 women looked great. Everybody got their spots, and it's honestly, it's hard. This and the next match are going to be, quite frankly, the rest of the matchups that we're going to cover here. It's hard to get into spots just because of how many cool spots there were, but incredible matchup, spurned by Timeless Toni Storm challenging these women. They didn't challenge her. She challenged them. She wanted to put herself to the test, saying she wants to take on the best that AEW has to offer. And she issued this challenge for this fatal 4-way. There were great spots. I want to deal with the comments real quick. What up, Dev? How you doing? Happy to have you here, bud. Thank you, Dragoon. Where is everyone else at? That's a great question. Nick M offered, and maybe that's on me that I thought I forgot to actually include him, but I don't know. Rev was at a baseball game. Danny just hates me. And Eric is watching the wrestling now. He's getting caught up with everything. So it's a one-man show, but I don't feel alone because I have you guys all in the comments keeping me company. Yeah, once again, happy to have you here, Dev. You know it. Respect for doing what it takes to entertain. I hope you're talking about me. I appreciate it. I'm dying here, but I'm doing my best. I love you guys. And Maria, we'll get into it, but yes, a shock finish. Toni Storm loses her title cleanly to Chris Statlander. The finish of the match coming with Tekla spearing Jamie Hayter off of the apron to the outside on the floor. This was a gnarly spear spot that took out both women, leaving Toni Storm and Chris Statlander in the match. Statlander, who, mind you, didn't really get to talk about. Nick, you can join right now. Nick, you can join right now. You have the ability. I believe in you. Please, would love to talk about the rest of the show with you. Do you need the link? I can send you the link. If you don't need it, you do need it. Okay. I'm sending it. Check your Facebook. Do you have Facebook? We have Facebook. Yeah, of course you have Facebook. Nope. There you go. Sorry, guys. As you can see, technical. There you go. We're back. Nick, you can join whenever. Happy to have you. Dragoon, you don't have to. I know you didn't really watch it. Or watch as much as you could. You watched clips of it. Just happy to have you here. And quite frankly, I've been able to hold it down on my own. At least I think I have. So just appreciate you being here at all. But back to the matchup, guys. I apologize. As you can see, we're a very professional outfit. All right. You know, all this stuff that should be done behind the scenes, I'm doing right in front of you. But just at the beginning of the match, as things were getting going, the bell was ringing. Of course, Wheeler Yuta is there trying to get into Statlander's ear once again. Stat does not seem happy that she's there, that he's there, but it doesn't do anything. Yuta leaves as the match gets going and doesn't really play a part in anything. But realistically, does have a huge impact on the finish. As the finish sees Statlander rolling up Toni and hitting the seatbelt pin. This pin has been pivotal in the relationship of Wheeler Yuta and what was the Best Friends group, as that was a pin that Chucky and Trent taught him. It was a pin that Orange Cassidy has used himself several times. It's been a staple of this group. So the speculation is maybe Yuta is the one who told Stat to use it, but it doesn't matter wherever she got it from, it worked. 1, 2, 3, and the 7-month title reign, the 4th title reign of Timeless Toni Storm is over. Toni looked shocked. She looked like she couldn't understand what was happening. The crowd couldn't understand what was happening. I feel bad. It's weird. I shouldn't feel bad. This woman just won the AEW Women's World Championship, but I feel bad. And the reason I feel bad is because it felt so random. It was one of those things that, like, I don't like, they let it breathe. They gave her fireworks. They gave her like everything. Harley Cameron came out and celebrated. Tony, Chris had like a good amount of time to celebrate in the ring, but it just felt like one of those moments that, because nobody was expecting it, nobody knew how to appreciate it. The crowd did chant, "You deserve it," and that was beautiful because she does. She's been with AEW since the beginning, essentially, when she was everyone's favorite alien. And to have this moment was great. She deserves it. I don't know how long it's going to last. I don't want to be a pessimist because one part of the buildup for this, or at least her part of this match, is that she hasn't had a world title match in 4 years. That's nuts. For someone as prolific, as prominent as Chris Statlander, for her to not have had a world title match in 4 years is bonkers. And I get how we get there because she was involved. She was the TBS champion. She was involved in a lot of storylines. She was involved in the Willow Nightingale story. She was involved in the best friends breakup. She did a lot. So I get it, but still bonkers. So good for her for having this moment. Let's see where it goes. Harley Cameron celebrating with her was a nice touch. I'm sure we're going to hear from Willow sooner than later. Let's see where it goes. Going to the comments really quickly. Maria saying, Timeless lost her title. Team CEO kept our title. I'm happy for you. I'm really happy for you, Maria. I know how much you love your girl. Here he is. Let me know. Give me a thumbs up if you're ready. There he is. Nick Maniotis. Beautiful as always. Thank you for being here, buddy.
I'm here. I made it. I'm a man of my word.
I don't blame you in the slightest. This was more than likely my fault because you had offered, and I know you were watching.
I wasn't sure where we landed on it, and I was like, well, I haven't heard anything, so it's probably after WrestlePalooza. But then Danny yelled at me. So
Eric was the one who told us yesterday he thought this would have been better because he thought that
I missed that. Then
don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. But yeah, we're gonna cover the rest of it in a minute. Briefly, thumbs up, thumbs down for these matches. If there's something important you want to say about any of them, say it. Coach Christian versus FTR. Thumbs up, thumbs down.
I'm gonna do like a mid.
Okay. What thoughts? Quick.
Good match. Finish was fine. Liked the ending where they pile drived Beth.
Yeah.
I hope that means that she's getting involved a little more. I like when she comes around and wrestles.
Yep.
But that's all I really got to say.
Yep. Big Bill versus Eddie Kingston. Yeah. Match was a bit of a bummer.
What a just nothing return for someone who should have come back in a much bigger way.
I agree. I mean, the moment was nice. The crowd was there for him. We saw him get very emotional after the match.
It was good. I mean, look, it was great for Eddie Kingston. Happy he's back, but I think for how they could have brought him back, this felt I don't want to say the worst way possible, but a very
lackluster.
Yes. Yeah. I don't see Eddie Kingston being slotted into anything major necessarily.
I think he's going to go right into Moxley. I think that's what's next. I think if not this Dynamite, by the next pay-per-view, we're going to see him.
Yeah. I just thought maybe they'd bring him back immediately to go, but
I think we all did. I think we
Whatever.
all did. Tables and thumbtacks match: MJF versus Mark Briscoe.
Good match. I'll give it a thumbs up.
Yeah.
I think Mark Briscoe is every time I watch a match like this from him, I'm always reminded of how much better he actually is than I sometimes remember.
Yeah.
And MJF is just on another level these days.
You could slot him anywhere and he makes it work.
Yeah, and he makes it feel important. He's the perfect bad guy.
Yeah.
Except he's just so good.
Thumbs up, thumbs down, thumb sideways for the Demand versus the Hurt Syndicate.
Good match. I think I'll give that a thumbs up.
Yeah,
I thought it was a very good match. I think to me, this was really the first time that I saw what the team Gates of Agony, is that what they're called?
Yeah, GOA now.
Yeah. First time I've really seen them like in a big match like that. And I thought they looked great. I think the pairing with Ricochet's worked really well for them.
Yeah.
And I'd like to see this continued.
Me too. The feud or their push?
Both.
Yep, I'd agree. I'd agree. AEW TBS Championship match: Mercedes Moné defending against Rio.
Very good match. Thumbs up.
Yeah. Shocking.
To be expected.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's always that fear when someone comes back after an injury, if they're going to be rusty. They kind of even touched on it a little bit. I was watching the pre-show, and Danielson had brought up some good points that, hey, Rio hasn't been in the ring in however many months, unless she's pulling out some stuff that she's learned in her time away.
Yeah.
Mercedes has it. But yeah, great match.
Yeah, absolutely. The coffin match between Darby and Moxley. And then the follow-up that happened afterwards with the
big I don't know. I might have missed the backstage segment. They had a backstage segment after?
Not immediately after. It was later on in the show where Darby, Mox sends the Death Riders driving away. He goes to talk to Darby in the coffin. Darby fights his way out of the coffin, puts Mox in the body bag, lights the body bag on fire. Yeah.
I missed that. All right. Well, the match was good. I'm happy Pac is back.
Yeah. Hate the haircut.
Oh, me too.
He looks like a kid.
I don't know. I don't know what it is, and I'm having a little bit of the same issue with Pete Dunne over in the other company. I get it if you're like in a post wrestling career, like you want to cut the hair off.
Absolutely. That's
like God, you just lost all of your power. Like like
Samson.
I'm sure once we see him wrestle again, we'll remember that.
I think the overall presentation didn't work for him. The baggy black clothing, the greasy short hair. Yeah. He does not look good. He looks younger, but not in a good way.
He looks sick.
Yes. Yeah, he does. Yes. I don't know why. I don't know why, but he does.
He looks sick.
Yeah. And not the good sick, not the way the cool kids say it.
No.
And now we're caught up. The AEW Women's Championship 4-way match. Time was Tony Storm defending against Jamie Hayter, Chris Statlander, and Tekla. You can expand a little bit more. Okay. What did you think of the match? What did you think of the outcome? All of it. Go into it.
The match was very good. Definitely some great moments in the match. The outcome surprised the hell out of me.
You and everybody else.
And they even and it was so funny because back to like I was watching the stuff, Danielson was talking about his thoughts, and he even said like Statlander he felt was the underdog in this match. She's, from a like storyline perspective, she's got all the stuff going on with the Death Riders. She's still kind of continuously trying to make amends with Willow. There's all of these factors coming in that in theory should distract her and should make her unfocused in a match like this. But she pulled it off.
Yep.
I didn't expect that. I think Tony Storm's reaction to the win was perfect.
Perfect.
Considering her a love for Chris Statlander, how she talks down on all these women, and as soon as she gets to Statlander, she talks about, whoa, what a woman she is. That is so, like, I think truly she was a very good choice. The timing was a little perplexing. It felt a little random. But I think overall I'm happy with it. We'll see what the follow-up to it is, and that'll really determine if I feel it was a good idea or not. But for now, I think it was an interesting decision. It made the card a little less predictable.
Yes.
And I mean, I love Chris Statlander. I love girls,
Don't we all?
I love girls.
We had been talking about it on the pod a little bit leading up to the pay-per-view, how there was no true heir apparent for either world championships, either for the men or for the women. Like, typically with AEW, you kind of know what the progression is going to be. It's very rare. Like with the men, I think
someone's going to get there eventually. Maybe not next, but
they're getting there.
Yeah.
We all knew Stat was one day going to be a women's champion, but she was not the heir apparent to this title.
No. But that's what I found was so interesting. Likewise. It didn't feel like anyone was.
Yeah.
It should have, it might have, like, everyone was like, well, Athena, that seems like the obvious answer, but then it wasn't.
Yeah.
It could have been Mercedes at All In, but it wasn't. So you have those two major losses, and it starts making you think, okay, well, who's going to be the one? Because no one else felt big enough.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I think they played into that very, very well. Going to the comments really quickly. Saying, I sound like I have the zombie apocalypse flu. He hopes I make it to the end of the show before turning. Thank you. Now that
I'll
Nick
put him out of his misery if he doesn't.
Yeah, exactly. Now that Nick's here, quite frankly, you can put me down now. Nick can take over.
Yep. Welcome to Nick M's podcast about hot women wrestlers and your favorite hot dog toppings.
Quite frankly, hot people wrestling. Beautiful people wrestled today.
Yeah. We're not shaming.
Both Dragoon and Maria saying that this has been going very well. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. Doing my best. Very happy to have a partner in crime with me right now. Dragoon saying, winning championships like these can be good randomly happening, but build-ups to these moments mean so much more. Yes, I don't disagree. He brings up now Brian Danielson, winning a title in a one-off is fucking whatever. Sure. Daniel Bryan winning a world title with an underdog build-up and the strength of the world on his shoulders means everything. Chris Statlander's win here should have been the same thing. So, to a degree, I agree with that notion. I agree with that concept. But in this context, in this story, Chris Statlander, as you put it, was overlooked. Yes, Tony has had nothing but amazing things to say. But that might have led to why she felt so comfortable putting her in this match.
It's almost as if Tony was waving her hand saying, hey, this is who it is. And everyone just...
Yep. And not everyone needs the big story winning the title. Sometimes the big story is what comes out of winning the title.
So that's what I was going to say was I don't think that every character needs to have their underdog moment. And to be honest, I don't want to say it was an underdog, but they did just have this big build up, Moxley loses the championship against Hangman. This was like that big, feel good moment, championship title win. I think it would be strange to do this eerily similar build.
Yeah.
For the women a month later.
Yeah.
I
think the bigger story here is going to be Statlander and Willow.
Also, not this man telling me that I deny his friendship when he does not answer my messages.
This pod has gotten messy enough on social media this week. I know he's not watching right now, so I could shit talk. Matt Cascone definitely brought some drama to social media. I am not looking to expand on that. We haven't gotten to our Civil War era yet here on the pod, but we'll get there eventually. Fernando in the comments saying, normally the defending champ is protected from getting pinned in matches like this. Shocked Tony took the pin. I think it added to the moment. I think it added to it. Timeless Tony Storm is such a big character. This title reign, even if you want to combine it with the title reign before she dropped it to Mariah for those couple of months, these two title reigns have been so big for AEW, for AEW's women's division, and for Tony, that for her to have lost the title by not being the one pinned, it would have cheapened Stat winning, in my opinion. So Stat pinning Tony clean. No interference, no craziness. She just pinned her with a good old-fashioned roll-up type of pin. One, you could have a rematch one-on-one. Two, Stat is solidified. And three, Tony now has an arc here. She allowed her hubris. She allowed her overconfidence, dare I say arrogance, lead to this situation. So I think this was the right move. It's saying outside of CEO, who's the champ after Tony? Outside of CEO, who should be the champ after Tony? This was bad. I don't know. Let's let it play out and celebrate this moment, as far as I'm concerned. Dragoon, stop being messy here. It's saying that CEO Mercedes will be wearing the belt shortly. Maybe. I don't think so. I don't think that's the direction this is going. I hope not, at least. I really hope not. It's saying a man was burnt to death, but I didn't see it. I was busy making a sandwich. You're not the only one who missed it.
I missed it. I didn't see the guy get burned to death. And now Eddie Kingston wants to fight him, apparently? That's messed up, man.
Dragoon, stop being messy. Stop being messy. Stop being messy.
You're going to have...
Wow. Oof. Team Matt Cascone.
That's definitely a choice.
I
want to point out that Dragoon left me on red on June 13th, 2025.
Yep.
And has not answered me since.
There you go. So
I just gave you the date.
Dragoon, he gave you a date. He gave you a date. Where?
Check your text messages. What else do we
Why
talk
does
on?
it matter? Why does it matter? All the things you're going to answer are on the little fucking square rectangle in your hand. You can find it. I'm getting hot now. I don't even care. Asking a real question. How often does a world champ lose in a four-way? I don't know about four-way, but I know it's happened in triple threats. I know it's happened in different multi-person matches. WWE's done it a few times.
I think, what was it, Mania 35? Whatever the U.S. title four-way was. Randy, Bobby, Jinder, and
the women's triple threat. Becky pinned Ronda.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, I think both Ronda and Charlotte were champs, but still, she pinned Ronda. She pinned the person she was feuding with.
She wasn't a champ going into it. So
yeah. All right, it's saying I misread Mike his comment. Who wants to be champ after Tony? It's a tough. Okay.
To follow Tony. Yeah.
Who wants to follow Tony Storm's title reign? That's a great point. Quite frankly, if I've never been champion, I would love for it to be me. I would love to just take that spot no matter what. I would love to push forward. And quite frankly, they needed someone who, if it wasn't going to be a heel who was just bound to be booed,
they needed it to be a babyface who wouldn't get turned on. And I don't think Stat is getting turned on. So I think she's the right, her or Willow would have been the right two people that the crowd wouldn't have, I love Jamie Hayter. I would have been very happy to see her win. The crowd already didn't really care that she was in this matchup. And that's a shame. That's really a shame. Statlander, people love her to the point that they were chanting, "You deserve it." So I think this played out the way it needed to play out. Anyway, let's move on to the next matchup. Unless there's anything you wanted to add.
Not particularly. I mean, maybe I could just say I agree that I think Stat was the right choice for this. Like you said, it gives Tony something to do post title reign. It gives her character a little direction, and now you get some interesting feuds potentially with Chris. You could run her and Willow back again if you want. Yeah, there's still some tension there. This could be a good way to kind of do the blowout.
Yeah.
Maybe Jamie turns, maybe they do Jamie and Chris.
I'm going to be sad because she doesn't deserve it. But yeah, I see that maybe coming at some point.
It's possible.
Too. Yeah.
Thekla in Triangle of Madness are there. You could do all of it,
I've gotten some heat on the pod for saying this. I don't really get it with Thekla yet. Like I'm not against her. I get it. I'm just not into it yet.
That's fair. That's fair. I think the pairing with Julia and Sky has been odd.
Yeah.
I get why. But I see what you mean. It's still kind of this like you'll probably get there, but not yet.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Moving on to our next title match, our next multi-person title match. We had the AEW Unified Championship 3-Way as Kazuchika Okada defended against Konosuke Takeshita and Mascara Dorada. Very good. Very good. I was a little worried going into this matchup because Okada wrestles a very 3-part matchup. We've talked about it here on the pod in the past that his matches don't typically heat up until the third act. That the beginning of the match will have some nice spots. The middle of the match will feel a little slow. And then the third match, it's like the third part of the match, the last 5 to 10 minutes, it's like, holy shit, you discovered a new gear.
And it's almost like he does it on purpose, right? Like
yes.
That's kind of it's that arrogance going into it, thinking that he can do so little, realizing that he needs to do more by the end of it.
Exactly. So, but I was pleasantly surprised by the pacing of this matchup. And I think a lot of that had to do with the fact that this was a 3-way. That Dorada and Takeshita were able to not wrestle their own match because Okada was part of the match basically throughout, but there was never really a dull moment. You have the intense rivalry that's brewing between Okada and Takeshita. You have Dorada, who's looking to prove himself because he was overlooked going into this matchup. Quite frankly, I went into this matchup expecting it to be the Beast Mortos. I wasn't expecting Dorada.
No, not at all.
And then for it to be Dorada, we all knew he had probably had to go into this match with a chip on his shoulder because you're going against Kazuchika Okada and Konosuke Takeshita. So I think he more than lived up to it. He absolutely inserted himself in the match that I say he kept the match flow going throughout. Hitting some big spots on both guys. Together, separate, everything. It was just very well not choreographed, but very well staged. And I think the right guy won here. Let's just tell you guys, Kazuchika Okada retains after a Rainmaker onto Dorada after he had massively drop-kicked Takeshita out of the ring. And Dorada had just been hit with a huge Falcon Arrow. So Okada retains his belt. The feud between him and Takeshita is definitely still brewing. We all kind of knew Dorada was going to be the one taking the pin no matter who won. There was a brief moment where you could kind of think Takeshita was coming out of this with the belt, but I think we all knew this was how it was going to play out. But I've said it before, I'll say it again, just because a match is predictable doesn't mean it's not great. So
yeah, and again, this is one of those matches that like this could have been the unpredictable match, right? This could have been the one where they said, "Hey, you know what? Put the belt on Takeshita. Put the belt on Dorada." You know, it'll take everyone by surprise. But I'm glad Okada won. I mean, I like you said, his match, despite his matches, he still feels like a big time star, and by the end of it, I don't know if we want to.
Yeah, go for it.
You could tell it was not a good night for Don Callis.
Yes.
And we'll talk about it more as we get into the last match.
The last two matches,
Yes. And it'll be interesting because the tension between the two of them, you know, he's sitting there thinking that this was just like a fun match for sport.
Yeah.
And
very clearly
I'm hoping that this all culminates with a Takeshita face turn. I've been waiting for it for a while. But one can only hope.
Oh yeah. I'm with you on everything. I think you nailed it. The Don Callis family not having a great night is definitely going to play a part, especially because again, we'll get into it. Okada is part of the family, but he was the outsider of the family. Remember, this was the elite guy who joined the family because of circumstance. So I think that's going to play a very, very big part. I'm really excited to see. The family right now went from being one of those bits of TV that I would groan when it would come on to being one of the most exciting things on the show. To me, I think they've stacked it with great talent. I think they've stacked it with compelling talent. And we know it's going to combust very soon. But so far, so good. And I'm really into it. But into the next matchup, we have the AEW World Tag Team Championships on the line in a 4-way ladder match as Brodito defended against the Young Bucks, Jet Speed, and the Don Callis family, represented by Hechiseto and Josh Alexander. Incredible matchup. Great ladder match. Made better by the fact that all the talent involved brought something very different to the match. You have the Bucks, who are the Bucks. You know what their style is. It's very high-fly-y. It's very striky. Very good stuff. You have Brodito, who themselves are a mix-up, mash-up team that is both power and speed. You have Jet Speed that is just human pinballs. And you have the Don Callis family here, Hechiseto and Josh Alexander, who are bringing. There were submissions. There was
technical powerhouse.
Yeah. Yes.
Grapple supreme. Awesome stuff.
And everybody played their part. We saw the Don Callis family and the Bucks trying to have a partnership. We saw Brodito taking on everybody. We're not afraid to back down to anybody. Jet Speed throwing their bodies, quite frankly, sacrificing themselves to try and win. There was one moment, and we try not to cover all the specific spots in a match, but there was one specific spot where Speedball had Hechiseto on a ladder that was propped up on a standing ladder and the apron. And he does his usual backflip knees to the gut of Hechiseto. And it is so clear that he banged the shit out of his knees.
Ultimate Weapon, is that what he calls it?
It's his finish, but it's usually while they're standing. But this is basically an Ultimate Weapon. And you could tell he destroyed his knees in this spot. And it was the only time, I can't remember often while watching wrestling where I've said to myself, that was a dumb spot. Like, that was risky for the sake of risk. But ultimately, a very fun matchup. Everybody doing great. Obviously, you have your expected spots, the double table spot to the outside, Where
I really liked the spot where Brody King was. I think Bandito was on the ladder.
yes,
And he was holding up the ladder trying to get him back in, and I think it was Mike Bailey flipped over and did the turnbuckle moonsault onto him.
Yep.
I thought that looked that was so good. That was my highlight spot.
Made better by hearing Brody trying to get Bandito to get up and to get off the ladder.
Yeah,
he like you could hear him, Bandito, get up, get off, and he couldn't do it.
Too late.
And commentary explained it. He's like he didn't want to drop his partner, potentially hurting him more. Beautifully done, beautifully explained, well executed. Ultimately, we see the Don Callis family Young Buck alliance deteriorate as both teams try to win the titles. Everybody gets taken out, allowing Brodito to retain the championship as Brody King gives Bandito the opportunity, the safety to climb up and bring both titles down on his own. Fun matchup. Shocked at the placement of it. Having it be the second to last match on the card was very interesting to me because you really risk having your crowd exhausted.
That's something that I think you open the show with, right?
I
That's
agree.
like the big high spot match that you want to get everyone excited with.
I get putting Cope and Christian first because the Canada boys wanting them to start off hot. I would have put this match either.
I almost would have switched positions with those, honestly.
Really?
Yeah.
I would be the second. All right. I would have done Cope Christian first. Second, stick with Big Bill and Eddie Kingston. Then do the ladder
match.
Then flip the Demand Hurt Syndicate match with the TNT match. And then I think you have a great flow. But what do I know? I'm not a billionaire like Tony. I don't get to book the show.
Yeah, you're only a millionaire.
Who knows? Who knows? At this
Allegedly.
Nobody knows. Maria saying this was a very good tag team championship match. I agree. I think any team could have come out of this winning it, and I would have been satisfied. A part of me really thought the Bucks were going to take this, but they had their own story afterwards that, quite frankly, will have people talking maybe a little bit more than if they had won the titles. As Brodito leave the ring celebrating with their championships, the Bucks are left in the ring to be frustrated with another loss. But as they are frustrated and as they are complaining, in the ring is Jack Perry. Jack Perry, who feels betrayed by the Bucks, feels left behind by the Elite, and wants revenge on the Bucks. He immediately goes for a big tackle, a big spear. I forget to which Jackson. I apologize. Not sure if it was Matt or Nick.
Probably Andrew.
Andrew Jackson.
Yeah.
Why not? Eventually, the numbers game is too much for Jack Perry. They hit him with double super kick. Well, no, I'm sorry. Rocky Romero, for some reason, got involved. Went after Jack. Jack put him down. This allows the Bucks to hit a double super kick. They then go for the BTE trigger, but Jack is smiling. He is laughing, and the lights go out. And we are then shown a video package, a vignette of Jack Perry in a graveyard, digging up a casket, attaching that casket to the back of his car, and then driving off down a dirt road. I swear to you, I knew where this was going.
I think I did too.
But I was like, wow, this is dark. They're digging up Luke Perry? I was like, well, I know we'll do anything for the
James.
I was so confused. Like,
oh, hold on.
I was like, okay.
Fuck.
Okay. I mean, and the weird thing is, because this is wrestling, this wouldn't even be the first time we've seen a
It
dead
should have been
father.
David Arquette.
This wouldn't have even been the first time we've seen a dead father's casket attached to the back of a moving vehicle. So I don't know why. I'm sorry, but that's where I thought this was going.
And we're bringing Luke Perry back, guys.
Yep.
Breaking news.
All right, Nick, I need you to look me in the eye right now. I swear to God, I'm telling the truth. I'm watching WrestlePalooza, so we could cover that after the show as well. Coming out right now is The Undertaker. So no, I don't care about what that means for WWE. I care about the fact that as I'm talking about a dead guy,
here comes the dead man.
There is something.
Yeah,
you can't plan these things, guys.
You
can't plan them. But going back to it, I apologize for being as stupid as I am. We then see Jack Perry in a familiar setting, as there are a bunch of medical tubes. There's a bunch of what look like chemicals and everything. And he attaches a tube, an IV, to somebody's arm. And we are greeted by a downed Luchasaurus kill switch. And we now have context for the vignette for the video package from when Luchasaurus kill switch was resurrected a month or two ago in that bit with the patriarchy. We now see that it was Jack Perry who brought him back. So I love this. I thought we all kind of expected it to be Jack Perry, or we were all kind of hoping it was Jack Perry when they didn't show who it was in the initial video. Like it wouldn't have made sense to hide that it was Kip Sabian or Nick Wayne or whoever. The fact that they kept it hidden meant that it was meant to be a big surprise.
And I think they even showed in that video the black leather sleeve.
Yeah.
So they were, or whatever, the denim, whatever jacket he wears.
Yeah.
So I think that was part of the big speculation was, hey, what if that's Jack?
And it was. And then as the lights come back on, there is Kill Switchosaurus. He helps Perry take down the Bucks, drops them. They have a big moment where Perry and Kill Switch are face to face. Kill Switch takes off his belt that says Kill Switch, throws it into the crowd at Jack Perry's urging, and we have the reunion of Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus with the music playing and everything.
I love this team so much.
Me too.
I'm so happy that they're finally back together.
Me too.
That just it feels right. And I think what makes this feel really special is this is a team that received their popularity in AEW.
Yep.
Broke up, went off and did their own things. And it's not like this is a reunion of two guys that have had some sort of long-standing whatever in other promotions. This was something that formed here. So it really feels special knowing that this was created by this company and they've made this moment.
I agree. Agree. It felt natural. It felt necessary. It wasn't just we're putting these two guys back together for the sake of putting them back together. Like what you could argue maybe is what's going on with the Acclaimed.
Yeah.
Jungle Boy Jack Perry went off, did the scapegoat thing. And unfortunately, whether you loved it or hated it, it didn't really click with the audiences. Valiant effort, but it just didn't super click. Yeah, unintentional. Luchasaurus kill switch. Obviously, there was some up and down there with the stuff with Christian, all that stuff. But overall, had a good run. You know, he had a good separate thing going on. Unfortunately, you could argue he never really got the revenge he deserved by being Christian's lackey.
Of course.
But this feels better. I was talking to someone earlier. I was actually talking to Dragoon, who was upset that he felt that there was still gas left in a singles Jack Perry run. And I'd be for it. I don't have a problem with that. Like, I'm rooting for him to get back to a point where he could be a singles guy. But the reality is, like I was saying, it wasn't clicking. And I'd rather see him getting cheered in a tag team than having people roll their eyes at another
And who's to say that they don't still give him the single stuff, right?
Exactly.
AEW doesn't shy from taking their tag team guys and making them feel like they're just as big in a singles position.
Totally agree. So I think this was well needed, well prepared, and I think it's something that everybody's going to be on board for. Jack needed the reset. Luchasaurus needed the reset. We're here. Let's ride it. Let's. I'm all for it. Going to the comments really quickly. We have Maria saying this was a very good tag team championship match. Totally agree. She was saying that this was a great moment. Totally agree. And with Jungle Express back together, the tag division is very stacked. The tag division is stronger right now than it's been in a long time. A long time. I love the Hurt Syndicate. It kind of felt like they were holding the belts hostage a little bit. And that's not to say they can't win them back. But the reality is you have the Hurt Syndicate. You have the Young Bucks. You have the Don Callis family, whatever form it may be. You have Jet Speed, Jungle Express, Cope and Christian, FTR, Brodito, the champs right now. Maybe Hook and Eddie Kingston. So
could be the Acclaimed again.
Could be the Acclaimed again. It is a stacked division. I'm loving to see it. I'm loving it. They just need to put a little love in the trios division too. But that's a different conversation for another time. All right, finishing strong here. We have the AEW World Championship match. Hangman Adam Page defending against the TNT champion Kyle Fletcher in a match that had a specific stipulation that if any member of the Don Callis family interfered, Kyle Fletcher would automatically be disqualified and he'd be stripped of the TNT championship. Now, I love this stipulation because as Hangman said himself on TV this last week on Dynamite, he thinks everybody in the audience is sick of having these world championship matches constantly have interference in them. We obviously dealt with a lot of that with the Death Riders. We had that a little bit with the Don Callis family in some shape or form. So to have just a standard one-on-one match between two guys, love that. I am going to struggle talking about this match. One, I was watching it. I was giving it my full attention, but I was also watching John Cena getting fucking decimated. So I was very angry while watching this match. Two, this match went long. Yeah, and it's awesome that it went long. Like, I'm not complaining that it went long, but it went long. It went, I think, close to 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Copycat. And both guys brought it. Now, I'd say it really, really picked up in the final 10, 15 minutes of the match. Final 10, 15 minutes of the match. But I'd say the back end was a lot stronger than the front end. The front was good. But it was two guys that were sort of pacing each other out a little bit. It wasn't until both men, it got to a point in the match that I don't think there was a moment of breath between the two of them. And that's not to say there wasn't selling for moves. There were. But everything led to another. Everything flowed so beautifully that there was not a wasted breath. There was not a wasted moment. And I think it was a beautifully told story. Basically, from the moment Hangman put Fletcher through the table, on the outside, there was not a dull. It just kept going. They never let the foot off the gas.
I'm convinced this match was for Stevie Richards. This fully was Kyle going out there and saying, "You think that I'm not a main eventer? I'll show you a main eventer." And
I completely agree.
They, like you said, it was just the flow was perfect. It felt like every move had some sort of reaction, which, you know, when done a certain way can either be kind of annoying to watch.
Yeah.
But I think Hangman is such a professional that everything worked so well in that match.
100%. And I loved so much of the storytelling too. Like, I am a sucker. Ever since I saw it in Kenny Omega versus Kazuchika Okada, I am a sucker for when you have a spot where you have a guy trying to hit a big move, whether it's a finisher or whatever it may be, and the only reason the opponent doesn't get hit with the move is because they physically collapse because they cannot hold themselves up.
Yep.
When Hangman went for the buckshot lariat and Fletcher collapses to his knees on his face because he had nothing else that he could do. He couldn't evade it. He couldn't dodge it. He couldn't take it. He just falls. I thought that was such a great spot because it shows that Fletcher put everything into this matchup. He was not holding back. He put all of his strength, all of his energy in. And it's just he's facing Hangman Adam Page, the AEW World Champion, at the top of his game right now. And if this was any other time, if this was any other place, if this is 5 years down the road, Fletcher might win this matchup. So I thought it was very, very well done. And I think obviously the right guy won. Hangman needed this reign to continue. But Fletcher has now established himself as a true threat to the world title. So
I agree. And like you said,
yeah, good.
In 5 years, the conversation might be different because now then you're talking about, you know, you'd have a 31-year-old Kyle Fletcher who's in the prime of his career.
Yep.
And I think even before then, you know, let's say in the next 2 to 3, he should be in that position.
Yes.
But tonight really solidified the future of AEW. You've got your stars. You have your top guys, and I'm glad that they're pushing forward with Fletcher. I think he looked great here tonight. One thing I did want to bring up, that Deadeye off the top rope.
Oh, fantastic! Scary as all hell.
Are you okay? Are you okay, Kyle Fletcher?
First of all, beautiful looking move.
Yes.
Second of all, gnarly landing, but safe.
Yes. I think it's anytime someone is a pile driver, anything where you're getting dropped off your head from the elevated space, it just, the cell always looks so gross because these guys will like bounce off their head or they bend in an awkward way. And I think they're dead on the spot all the time.
It was, and he sold it incredibly.
Yep.
He sold it like he was going to die or he almost died. It was fantastic. Well done. As safe as a spot like that can be, I suppose. And arguably, don't know why it wasn't the finish. Don't know why he needed to hit the buckshot after that. But fine. He put him down.
You know.
And again, having spots like that, as scary as they are when they're super spots, it further protects the guy who's getting pinned. Because Hangman needed to hit him with everything.
Yep.
And super versions of everything. So very well done matchup. Looking forward to the future for Kyle Fletcher. And going to your point, the Don Callis family having a bad night. Only Okada walked away with a win.
Which was at the expense of Takeshita walking away with a loss.
And being more frustrated.
Yes.
Takeshita was very frustrated with that loss.
And you could see it on the face of Don Callis.
Yeah, he's doing his best to keep his head in the sand, pretend that everything's okay, but he knows everything's not okay. So, really cool.
But that's okay, because fuck Don Callis.
Fuck Don Callis. So, overall thoughts on the show. I thought this was a strong showing, a really fun pay-per-view. Maybe not one of AEW's best, but a very fun show overall.
I agree. I think some of the matches felt a little weak for pay-per-view.
Yeah.
You know, and I hate to say it, I feel like a match like Kingston and Big Bill could have probably taken place on Dynamite.
Yep, I agree.
But overall, solid show. I think the matches that did need to deliver did deliver.
Yeah.
And it gets me excited to watch on Wednesday.
Exactly.
And that's the important part, right?
Absolutely. And there were teases for this coming Wednesday. I didn't go over all the backstage segments, but there was a segment where we know Mark Briscoe was celebrating we now know there's a trios match that's going to happen this week where it's the conglomeration. It's going to be Mark Briscoe teaming with Hologram and a mystery third.
Partner.
And as they're all backstage, it's Mark, it's Hologram, it's Paragon, it's Willow and Harley. Kyle O'Reilly is on the phone, and Mark is asking, is he ready? And he says, whatever. And he goes like this. So we can expect Orange Cassidy back on Wednesday.
That'll be nice.
So it's a lot to look forward to.
I'm going to be real disappointed if it's just like Ishii.
Nah, there's no. They straight up.
I know, but
yeah, no, I get it. I get it.
You know.
Anything could happen. But this was a fun show with a lot of big moments. This was a moment-heavy show. The debut of Beth Copeland, Hook and Eddie Kingston becoming a team, Mark Briscoe getting a major win, the coffin match with Darby and the return of Pac, Chris Statlander winning the championship, the tag team title match with the return of Jack Perry and the reformation of Jurassic Express. So many moments. And I think Tony booked with that in mind. On a day like today where they're being counter-programmed, maybe not all the matches are going to be remembered, but there are going to be moments that are remembered. So very strong showing from AEW, as always, on pay-per-view. And now in probably like 20 minutes, WWE's WrestlePalooza is going to be over, and we're going to have to talk about that. And I will say, as the show progressed, the show did get a lot stronger. I was very upset about the start of the show, but we'll see about it. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for joining us here at the Mark It Down podcast so far for AEW All Out 2025. I had a lot of fun talking about the show. I had a lot of fun watching the show. I had even more fun talking about it with Nick joining me. Nick, thank you so much for being here.
Of course. Sorry, I was fashionably late.
You made a grand entrance, and you got to be here for the big matchups. All that matters. Can we expect you for WrestlePalooza? No pressure.
Possibly.
All right.
I've missed half of it.
I understand being here,
but we will. I'll circle back.
All right, we'll see. But guys, we will be here back again shortly for WrestlePalooza. Thank you so much for being here now. We'll see you a little bit later. If you don't join us, we get it. If you do, we'd love to have you. And if you're here now, thank you so much. As always, if you're one of our regulars, we had a poppin' comment section, whether it was Maria or You Know It or Dragoon or whoever. We had so many, Dev, Fernando, everybody. Thank you so much. Everybody, thank you so much. If you're new and you're just checking us out for the first time, don't know what brought you here, but we're so happy you are here. Hit that like button.
Do it, or else.
Do it, please, or else. We don't want to know what that else is, but else will happen. But check us out. Hit the subscribe button, because clearly we just love talking about wrestling. We're going to be on live again in a little bit. Hit the subscribe button so you get the little notification that we're going to be live talking about WWE WrestlePalooza. And as always, check us out on social media. We're all doing funny, silly stuff on there, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, X, Blue Sky, TikTok. I don't think we do anything else. If we do, it hasn't been invented yet, but we'll see. As always, this is James Gisanti, joined by Nick Maniotis. Nick, do you have anything you want to close out with?
Get ready for the Mark It Down OnlyFans.
Wow. Okay. Have a good one, everybody. See you shortly. Bye.